You're in.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the November 17th, 2020 meeting of the City of Vista Planning Commission. This meeting is being conducted utilizing teleconferencing and electronic means consistent with the State of California Executive Order N2920. The public may only view the meeting online and not in the council chambers. Ms. Chow, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chairman Rossler.
Here.
Commissioner Kramer.
Here.
Commissioner Hastings.
Here.
Commissioner Grimm.
Here.
Commissioner Garrettson.
Here.
Commissioner Looney.
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera.
Here.
All right. All commissioners are present. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioners, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our October 20th meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, can we hear a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Commissioner Grimm has moved for approval. Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioner Kramer has seconded the motion. Ms. Chow, would you? I'm sorry?
I believe it was Commissioner Hastings.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Chow, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chairman Rossler.
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer.
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings.
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson.
Yes.
Commissioner Looney.
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you. Any changes to the agenda tonight, Ms. Chow?
No changes tonight. Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is oral communication. This is a time that the commission sets aside to hear from members of the public on items that are not on our agenda. Ms. Chow, is there anyone wishing to speak under oral communications tonight?
Looking at the attendees list, and no, none at this point.
All right, very good. Then we will move ahead to our first public hearing, P20-0138, Mcgowan Funeral Homes. Mr. Mcgowan, I believe it's your staff report.
All righty. Good evening, Chairman Rossler, Planning Commissioners, staff, members of the public. It is my pleasure to present tonight the project for the applicant, Mcgowan Funeral Home, for the November 17th, 2020 Planning Commission hearing. The project before you is for a special use permit, permit number P20-0138. Patsy, next slide, please. The property is currently zoned.
Can you make that bigger?
Yeah.
Are you not able to?
No.
Patsy, it's really small on the screen.
Really? That's interesting. Let me see here.
Sorry.
Hold on.
No
worries. Let me see. That's interesting. Let me stop sharing here for just 1 second.
Okay.
And not sure why, because it's taking up the whole screen on this side.
Is there something we need to do on our side?
Yeah, on my side, it looks like it's just, hold on. Just bear with me for 1 second here.
Sure.
And it's still small on your end?
We don't see it now.
Can you see it?
Try to share
hold
your
on.
screen again.
Yes, sorry about that. Hold on.
Problem?
We got too many screens open here. Hold on for just one moment. Okay, let's see here. 0138. Okay, is it still small?
Very good.
Perfect.
Builds the screen. Very good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Phew.
Okay, Rafi, sorry for that. Go ahead.
All
Sorry,
right.
Rafi.
Yeah, we're on the right slide too. So yeah, property is currently zoned C1 commercial, and the general plan designation is neighborhood commercial, CN. Uses in the neighboring properties include a Walgreens pharmacy, McDonald's restaurant, AutoZone, and a couple residential neighborhoods. And the next slide. The proposed project is for a special use permit to allow a new funeral home business with assembly area for 100 persons or more at 1421 North Santa Fe Avenue. Hours of operation are proposed for funerals and wakes, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. daily, and administrative and funeral services, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tenant improvements are also proposed within the 5,000 square foot existing commercial building. And this is the proposed site plan with the red area noting the location of the existing commercial building. And this is a proposed floor plan which shows common areas at the entrance of the building, such as the lobby, gathering area, assembly space, and administrative offices. As noted earlier, the general plan designation is neighborhood commercial, which allows for retail, restaurants, and assembly uses. The commercial center currently includes retail, such as Stater Brothers and CVS Pharmacy, and restaurants such as Subway and Jack in the Box. Existing uses in the neighboring properties include residential areas, Walgreens, McDonald's, AutoZone, among various other commercial uses. Basis of approval, the general plan designates the property as neighborhood commercial, CN, with a zoning designation for the property as C1 commercial, in which a mortuary is consistent with the general plan designation for the site because a mortuary is permitted by right within commercial zones. The proposed use is permitted by right for the C1 zoning standards. However, the proposed assembly use of 100 persons or more requires a special use permit to be reviewed by the Planning Commission. All required on-site improvements are included in the project design, and the subject site provides adequate parking and circulation to accommodate the proposed use. And this concludes staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution approving a special use permit for a funeral home inclusive of an assembly use at 1421 North Santa Fe Avenue. And this concludes staff's presentation. I can answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is on the line as well.
Does the applicant have a presentation?
They do not.
Okay. All right. So commissioners, any questions for staff? Commissioner Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question involves, I have no experience with any of this. So does a funeral parlor, they also going to do embalming, cremation?
There is no cremation at this site, but they are embalming at the location. It's not a crematorium though.
Okay, so for embalming, does something have to be done with the TIs? Because I'm assuming that the normal bodily fluids, can all of that still go down the sewer?
That I will turn over to the applicant to answer that question, but I do know that they have storage in the rear of the tenant space. If the applicant is on, Mary, are you there?
I am here, sir. I'm Mcgowan, representing my funeral home.
Okay.
Yes, regarding your question, it is common practice for body fluids through the embalming practice to be placed down the sewer. No required special requirements have been requested in the state of California for funeral directors as of now.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I have no other questions.
Very good. Commissioner Hastings, any questions for staff or the applicant?
No, that answered the question that I had previously. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Grimm?
Just a question for staff. I'm assuming that since it looks like it's part of the center there, that there's reciprocal access and reciprocal parking with the center.
Yes, there is. It's all reciprocal parking. There are multiple entrances to the shopping center as well, both on North Santa Fe and East Blueberry Drive.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Commissioner Grimm?
No, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Garrettson? Any questions for staff or the
No
applicant?
questions at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Looney?
No questions, no comments.
Okay. John, are you back with us?
I am. Sorry about that.
Any questions for staff or the applicant?
I do. I guess for the applicant first. So I frequent that parking lot quite a bit. Condition of the lot, and particularly in front of the building that we're discussing, is not in great shape. Is there any plans to improve the parking lot? I mean, the spaces aren't marked very well. There's some deterioration of the blacktop. Is that part of your improvements?
Yes, Mr. Aguilera, I have received communication with Stater Brothers and that the resurfacing of the complete parking lot.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I still here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can't see you.
Just lost the video.
We can't see you.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that
sorry.
resurfacing will be taking place in the next couple of months.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is for staff. And I know there's plenty of parking at the center. There's more than enough. And so I'm not concerned about this particular project, but on page 4 of 21, under parking, it says neighborhood centers require 4 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area within the center. So that, brings the parking spaces up to, I guess, 332 spaces would be required for the entire place. But for something like this in the future, I mean, I don't know that we're going to have too many projects like this in the future. Hopefully not, I guess. I mean, but as our city continues to grow, it could happen. Shouldn't there be a separate requirement for a funeral home to have more than 4 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet?
Typically, the users that are within the center, we consider them to be part of the entire operation as opposed to individual uses. But certainly it's a valid question as far as if particular users are coming in and whether a particular use requires more parking than others. I think it's something that we might be looking in the future as far as our requirements. But historically, in the city, we have looked at, when we look at a shopping center, we look at it as a whole rather than parts of it.
Okay. Okay, so you're just saying that if another project like this was to go in front of us, we would just kind of look at the whole project as a whole. Okay.
Typically, that's how we've done historically in the city. Yeah.
Because I look at Allen Brothers Mortuary, and their parking is pretty limited there at times.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have adequate parking, but I mean, there are times when, for certain funerals where it just spills over to the street, neighboring businesses and that type of thing.
Right.
So, and that's a standalone. That's all I'm saying is
True. Yeah. In this case, I guess because of the benefit that there is a large parking area as part of the center that is not fully utilized. So it kind of gives, in this situation, is a little different, but I understand your concern.
Not a problem for this project. So that was it. Thank you.
I just want to add to what Patsy was saying, that we review these typically on a case-by-case basis, and in situations where a use like this, the tie occupancy goes into a center where there are existing parking problems, we would require the applicant to go to much greater lengths in analyzing and managing and making sure that it's documented to support a staff recommendation for the use. In this situation, just based on all of our observations, and I'm thinking the commissioners would agree, there's a lot more parking for this center than probably is required, and that's why we didn't make the applicant go to that extent for this particular application.
True. Yeah, there's more than enough parking in that lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. I had a question for the applicant concerning the hours of operation. The funeral services are your hours are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I know that, how to put this delicately, delicately. People pass away at all hours of the day and night. Are you ever called? Do you offer 24-hour services, and are you ever called out at night to go retrieve someone?
Yes, sir. As far as services, the services will take place within the time frame that is listed. We are a service that requires 24-hour a day, 365 day a year response to decedents passing away. So as far as removals, we will pick up anytime the death has occurred and we're summoned.
Okay. All right. Very good. And then you have full access at a traffic signal that's almost adjacent to the building. Will there be processions that leave your facility and go to the cemetery? And
yes,
how do you deal with traffic and keeping everybody together and in the procession?
Yes, sir. Our common practice is if we are to have a procession with excess of 5 vehicles in that procession, we will require the family to supply, well, we will supply for them on their behalf, motor escorts to escort us safely to our destination. If it's less than, if it's 5 or less, no, we will be able to accommodate the family without escorts. And there are 2 signalized exits on that lot that I have access to.
Okay, very good. That's it for questions of staff and the applicant. Mr. Garrettson.
Yes, I have one question. Is this building going to be painted before it's open? That whole shopping center is in bad need of a painting, especially.
My building is in good shape, but my plans are to paint the building as well.
Right,
the colors are still pending.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners? All right, this is a public hearing, and I will open the public hearing at this time. Ms. Chow, do we have anyone that wishes to speak?
We do have a couple of attendees. I believe one is an applicant for another item, Chris White, and I have Ruth's computer. If you can raise your hand if you're here to speak on the public hearing item 1, which is the Mcgowan Funeral Home. If you could raise your hand, please. I don't see any hands going up.
All right. Then I will close the public hearing and open it up to commissioners' discussion. Any comments before we move along? Don't see any. All right. Commissioner Garrettson.
Yes, I'm assuming the signage will be handled separately.
Correct. It'll be under a separate building permit application.
Okay.
Right. If there are no other comments, would someone like to make a motion? Commissioner Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that staff has worked very well with the applicant on this, and I'm proud to adopt resolution 2020-20 grant as written. How's that?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Aguilar seconds the motion. Ms. Chow, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chairman Rossler?
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings?
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm?
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes.
Commissioner Looney?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Chow. Congratulations, Mr. Mcgowan. And we will move along then to our next public hearing, which is P20-0236, the North Melrose Self-Storage Amendment. And I believe Mr. Ressler has the staff report. Ms. Chow, it's gone back to the small screen again.
Oh, geez. Okay, hold on.
And Patsy, my applicant is trying to get into the meeting, so I provide him with another link. So I'm trying to get them to participate in the meeting as well. So
Okay, sounds good.
Gentlemen, ladies, I thank you on behalf of Mcgowan Funeral Home. Good night.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, let me see if I can first, let's see here. I'm gonna close this one here because I got too many screens here. So let me. Okay, so let me know when you see the large screen.
Okay.
Okay. Share screen.
That's still small.
Still small.
Not as small as the first time, but it's not the full screen.
That is weird. I think it's because I have.
Wait.
Did it
Hang
go?
on.
Did it go large now?
Slideshow, resuming slideshow.
Oops. Can you see the large version? Nope.
It says.
Oh, wait a second. Resume share. Here we go. How about now?
Yes. Good.
Okay.
Good.
Geez, sorry about that.
No problem.
I hope it doesn't keep doing this all night. Wow.
and Patsy, I think my applicant, a representative of my project, has just participated in the meeting.
Sure. I'll bring them in as you are doing your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. The project before you tonight is a special use permit amendment for North Melrose self-storage. The application number is P20-0236. Next slide. The subject site is located on the west side of North Melrose Drive, north of North Avenue. The site is 6.25 acres. It maintains 2 legal parcels, and it's currently developed with the North Melrose Self-Storage Facility. Next slide. The North Melrose Self-Storage Facility maintains 7 storage buildings, totaling 143,800 square feet of storage, as well as an outdoor RV storage area located on the southerly portion of the site, and a 2-story office manager's residence located at the entrance of the site along North Melrose Drive. Next slide. The general plan land use designation for the site is industrial general. The zoning for the site is specific plan number 8, area A, which self-storage facilities are use permitted by right. Next slide. The original entitlement for this facility was a special use permit and a site development plan number PC 8-092. The entitlement was for a mini warehouse storage facility that included an office, a manager's residence, an outdoor RV storage area on the 6.25 acre site. The original entitlement also included 3 conditions related to the manager's residence. First, there was a limit to the SUP to 5 years or potential for 5-year renewals, as long as the manager's residence was being used for the management of the facility. Second, there was a land use restriction associated with the manager's unit, as well as third, the manager's unit must be in conjunction with the self-storage operations. Next slide. In September 2018, the Planning Commission approved amendment to the previously approved special use permit and site development plan to construct a 34,900 square foot 2-story storage building within the existing self-storage facility. The proposed building would be constructed within the existing recreational vehicle storage area. Next slide. The proposed North Melrose self-storage modification would require an amendment to the previously approved special use permit. The proposed project includes removal of the 5-year renewal condition, the sale of moving supplies, as well as moving truck rentals, which would be limited to 4 26-foot long box truck moving vans. Next slide. The submitted plan shows the moving truck storage area located at the southwest corner of the site. The proposed moving supply sales would take place within the existing office area. Staff does note that the plan that's shown on this slide has been updated to reflect the most current parking layout within the RV storage area. Again, the general plan land use designation for the site is industrial general, which allows for industrial uses, including self-storage facilities. In regards to the specific plan number 8 development standards, self-storage facilities are use permitted by right, and the sale of moving supplies and moving truck rentals as ancillary uses are permitted uses subject to the approval of the Director of Planning. In regards to the manager's unit, this unit has continuously been occupied by a member of management team. There's been no code enforcement complaints received by city staff in regards to this unit. And the 5-year renewal process has been a difficult process to administer by staff. Therefore, staff supports the request to remove the 5-year renewal condition. 2 specific conditions that are included within the resolution before you tonight include the removal of Planning Commission Condition number 27 and Planning Commission Resolution number 98-59 that requires the 5-year renewal process, as well as a maximum of 4 26-foot long moving trucks may be stored on site within the designated recreational vehicle storage area. However, in the event that the previously approved storage building is constructed, the storage and rental of the moving trucks would have to cease operations unless an alternative moving truck storage location is provided on site. With that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission adopted a resolution granting an amendment to the previously approved special use permit to modify the existing conditions of approval, as well as establish the sale of moving supplies and the rental of moving trucks within the existing self-storage facility located at 1317 North Melrose Drive. And that concludes staff's report. I'm here as well as representatives of the self-storage facility to answer questions the Planning Commission might have. Thank you.
Okay, the applicant does not have a presentation?
The applicant does not have a presentation, but they are available to answer any questions you might have.
Very good.
Chairman Rossler?
Yes.
I just wanted to identify that I have Rose McClave as one of the applicants, Brett Hardy, but I do not have Randy Casper unless it is one of the phone numbers that I have listed here as 2781 ending or 3222. So if one of you could identify yourselves if you are actually Randy Casper, I would appreciate that so I can promote you to panelist.
This is Randy Gasper. I am here.
Okay, and are you 3222 ending?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and promote you here for a second here. Actually, it doesn't allow me to. I think it would just be on the audio because I believe you don't have video, right? It's just the phone?
Just the phone. Yeah, I'm in my car right now.
No worries. I think it's okay. You can participate right now, so you're active. Thank you, Chairman Rossler.
All right. Commissioners, we'll move on to questions of staff or the applicant. Commissioner Kramer, any questions of staff or the applicant?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one question. I think it's brilliant about selling moving supplies, but my question involves the selling of the supplies. I think the presentation said it's in the office. Isn't the office beyond the gates that you have to have a code to get in? And how does that work if you just want to come and buy boxes?
Go ahead, Randy. Go ahead, Randy. After you.
You can, you can enter the office. We have customer parking, and they can enter the office before gate entry.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Hastings, any questions of staff or the applicant?
I was just wondering about, I guess this is probably for staff, the history of the 5-year requirement. Why was that there in the first place?
Well, currently in the commercial section of our development code, there's a stipulation that requires a renewal, a limitation on the SUP and a renewal of 5 years associated with a caretaker's unit within a self-storage facility. However, the Planning Commission has a discretion to remove that requirement, and we're requesting to do it tonight. Just the fact that it's been such an encumbersome process. It's been difficult to maintain that 5-year review. Staff did go out about 3 weeks ago and visited the site, visited the unit, confirmed the assistant manager currently is living in that unit, and and correct me if I'm wrong, but the existing manager's been on site for the past 14 years as well, and they've confirmed that unit's been utilized by management. So at this point, we feel comfortable without having any complaints or any issues associated with it to remove that requirement of the 5-year review.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
As I recall, the history of these things back in '98, having a manager's unit on site with living quarters was something that was somewhat new. And so the city was being very cautious about how having a residential unit in an industrial zone would be handled and managed. It seems like these folks have adhered to all our requirements and have done a good job of maintaining the occupancy. So I think it's okay. But anyway, that was the kind of the history behind it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Grimm, any questions of staff?
No,
the applicant?
Pretty straightforward, no question.
Okay. Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes, a couple of questions, Mr. Chairman. One relates, there is no changes along the street, correct? I mean, the entrance is going to stay the same size. There's no construction there at all, correct?
That's correct. There's no physical improvements being done to the site associated with this request.
Okay. Can an 18-wheel vehicle come in there, like a storage or a moving van, a big one?
Right now, I might let the applicant discuss this because they are more familiar with the operations. From staff's point of view, I would just want to make you clear that the existing driveway getting into the facility is approximately 36 foot wide, which exceeds our standard requirement of 24 feet. So it's an oversized driveway getting into the facility. However, the applicant might provide you a little bit more information on those type of operations if they have those type of vehicles coming into the facility.
It's Randy again. Yeah, we have 18, 26-foot trucks that come on that property pretty regularly. The drive aisles are wide enough that those turns can be made safely.
Okay, thank you. And my second question relates to the residential area behind. As I drove by, it didn't look like that there would be anything that's more visible to those houses than presently exists with the RV storage. Is that correct?
Yeah, as of right now, they're already storing high-profile RVs in that area. So the moving truck should have a consistent a size as the existing facilities that are there right now. So no, they shouldn't be any more impacting than the vehicles that are already stored in that location currently.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Looney, any questions of staff or the applicant?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Aguilar?
None at all.
All right. I had one for the applicant. How come only 4 trucks? Are they just going to be used for local moves, or do you see out of city or in out of state rental?
I can take that one. It's really based on a formula of demand, and we really don't think we need any more trucks than we're requesting there. And most of those moves are more local moves, but it would not be accurate to say that we would not have long distance moves coming in there. But by and large, the majority would be local moves in that area. And we just simply don't need more trucks than that. And so we're not requesting more.
Okay. Are you going to be affiliated with any of the national truck rental companies?
Yeah, we have contracts both with U-Haul and Penske, and so it'd be one of those national companies. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Those were my questions. We'll move on then to our public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Ms. Chow, is there anyone that wishes to speak on this item?
There are some attendees on the list here. I would just ask if you're here to speak on public hearing item number 2, which is P20-0236. It's the North Melrose Self-Storage Amendment. If you could please raise your hand so I can recognize you. And I do not see any hands going up or being raised.
All right. Very good. Then we will close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. Any comments from the commissioners?
Chairman Ross, I'm sorry, yes. Chairman Rossler, there is a phone by extension, last 4 digits is 2781. Are you here to speak on this item? If you can please recognize yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rose McClaw. I am Merritt Hill's attorney on this matter.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That was all, Chairman Rossler. Thank you.
Okay, very good. If there are no comments, would someone like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve P20-0236 as proposed.
All right. Commissioner Looney's moved. Commissioner Garrettson for a second.
To second that motion.
Very good. We have a motion and a second for approval. Ms. Chow, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Chairman Rossler, your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes.
Commissioner Looney?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Very good. Congratulations, folks. And hopefully I don't need to come and use your services. So,
Thank you very much for your consideration. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So we will move on then to our third public hearing, P20-0259, a special use permit for wine and beer bar at 204 and 206 Main Street, Barrel and Stave Pour House. I believe, Mr. Connolly, it's your staff report. And Ms. Chow, we've gone back to the small screen.
Oh, geez. Wow, what is going on here? I thought it was all good because it looked the same as the previous one. Hold on, let me stop sharing here for a second. Oh boy, let's see. Okay. Is it still small?
It's not as big as it should be, or it has been in the past.
Okay, so let me.
We've got the slideshow, resume slideshow.
How about now?
There
Perfect.
we go.
You're good.
Yeah, there's some sequence of events here. I'm sorry about that. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
All right, Mr. Connolly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a special use permit request for a beer and wine bar. It's a type 42 ABC license at 204 and 206 Main Street. This is the former location of the Mother Earth tasting room. Patsy, you can go to the next slide.
Sure.
The applicant's requesting a special use permit for a beer and wine service, inclusive of authorization for a type 42, which is considered an on-sale beer and wine for public premises license with the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. Type 42 license allows for both on-sale and off-sale privileges of beer and wine. Their hours of operation that are proposed are noon to 10 p.m. Monday to Wednesday and 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. The project location is shown here on the aerial photo. It's at the northeast corner of Main Street and North Indiana Avenue. The dirt lot that you're seeing there to the left of the project location is the 100 Main Street, the Ryland project that was recently constructed. So I'm sure everybody knows the location of that. The existing commercial building is shown in red here. It is split into two commercial suites. That's 204 and 206, one at the corner and one just to the east of the corner. And together they measure just a little over 4,000 square feet. Next slide. The location of the project is designated mixed use in the general plan. It's in the downtown specific plan, which allows a bar through the special use permit process. Next slide. The floor plan is shown here. It was provided in the staff report. Generally retains a similar layout for the Mother Earth space as what was there before, with the bar that wraps around the cooler and an open floor plan. The outside seating that was established with Mother Earth will also remain, and they'll have another bar on the 204 side with some seating in the front of that area as well. Next slide. These are just some photos. On the left is the Mother Earth space when it was still operational. We don't expect there's going to be much in the way of changes. The floor plan will remain the same. They do propose some off-sale privileges, which we included a condition to require a professional display. And this is just an example of what they have at some of their other facilities in terms of how they would display the specialty beer and wines that they would sell. Next slide. As far as the staff review, we always review crime statistics and concentration. Those are the two criteria that are primarily evaluated by staff as part of any use permit for alcohol service. In this location, they're in a census tract that is not over-concentrated. There are 7 on-sale licenses which are allowed based on the population within the census tract. There's currently 6 on-sale licenses granted. This would be the 7th, so it would reach the concentration, but it is nonetheless not over-concentrated. It's also within a crime beat per the Sheriff's Department that's well under the citywide average. It's only 53.3% of the citywide average. And so it's not considered a high crime beat, which is considered 120% of our citywide average. With no over-concentration and no high crime, there's no findings required of public convenience and necessity for the ABC license. The Sheriff's Department and the city managers have both reviewed the application and they provided conditions. There are some conditions about the display that I mentioned. There's also some conditions for self-service. Although the applicant's not proposing to do that at this time, the staff included that condition in the event that they want to institute that use in the future. It would be permissible with the approval of ABC. Live music and entertainment are permitted within this area, but they are subject to separate permitting. So those are not addressed within the special use permit, but they're permissible under the live entertainment permit process that the applicant would have to file separately with the city manager's office. And there are special use permit findings included in the resolution that meet the requirements per our development code. And so based on that, staff is recommending approval of the application. Patsy, you can go to the next slide. To grant a special use permit for a beer and wine bar at 204 and 206 Main Street. And the applicant, Mr. Chris White, is also here. And I believe he has a presentation, which Patsy's probably going to take a moment to bring up for the commission.
Okay, bear with me for a second here.
Sure.
And if you're still seeing the small screen.
All screen.
Small screen.
Yeesh. How about now?
No.
Hold on.
To resume.
Hold on. I'm going to resume.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, Chris, you're up.
Hi, well, thank you for taking the time to meet with us tonight. We're proposing like John said, a craft beer wine bar. it's going to have hard seltzers, kombucha as well. And then we'll utilize our food requirement from Urban Pizza across the street, which Mother Earth did in the past, and it's worked very well. Patsy, you can go to the next slide. We have a experienced management team. I have a successful brewery that has been operating in the city of San Marcos for the past 3 years, Wild Barrel Brewing. We have another location, which is a self-pour concept of Barrel and Stave in the city of Fullerton, and that's doing very well. So we want to come to Vista and bring good craft beer. Now, if any of you are craft beer savvy, you hear the names Stone, Ballast Point, Belgian Beaver. We want to take it a little bit above and beyond that. We want to obviously support the local craft breweries, but we also want to bring non-distributed beers to the area from Northern California and outside of San Diego County. And there's very few other craft beer bars that do the same thing that we're proposing to do. So we'll physically go up once a month and pick up the beer ourselves and bring it back down. We are very well funded. So during these times, as you know, with COVID, outdoor seating is likely to continue for the foreseeable future. We can operate on an outdoor patio for an indefinite period of time. So, funding and going under is not a concern. Again, I said our first location was in Fullerton, California, and this would be our second location. Next slide, Patsy. These are the product offerings that we're going to have all in one place. And like I said, it's going to be a lot of, local products, but hard to find products as well. Our off-premise products will not be like Budweiser's and Miller's and, the general liquor store products. Again, they'll be hard to find craft beer products that, people can't get within, a close radius. Next slide. Long-term business plan. One being is that we've made an offer to purchase the building from Jan, the current owner, and she's accepted our offer contingent upon the CUP approval and ABC approval. So we'll be our own landlords.
Very nice.
Yeah. We'll be, as I said, partnering with other downtown businesses, Urban Pizza and the New Ryland Apartments complex. We've already reached out to them and want to offer their residents, specials to come in and make it more attractive to attract more people to that development. Go to the next slide. Again, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your time, and that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Commissioners, we'll move on to questions of staff or the applicant. Commissioner Kramer, any questions?
Just one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I guess the question is directed to Mr. White. If everything goes well and we approve and ABC approves, how soon would you open?
Well, as John said, we're not doing very much construction. Everything is staying in place. We have a requirement. We have a lead time from the cold box company of about 4 weeks. So we could technically be open hopefully by the end of the year. That's the projected plan. It may run a little bit into the beginning of January, but we're shooting for just after Christmas.
That's my only question. I hope all goes well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hastings?
I think it's a very interesting concept. I just had a question out of curiosity. If you have a brewery in San Marcos, are you also serving that beer
Yes.
at this new location as well?
It'll be one or maybe two offerings. We'll have 40 different taps. Wild Barrel is very popular in North County, but there is a ABC restriction on how much I could sell or we could sell out of the Barrel and Stave locations. And that's 10% of your taps.
Thank you.
You bet.
Commissioner Grimm?
Yeah, just one question. And I brought this up with a staff member, so I already have an answer, but I thought it might be pertinent to bring it up tonight. One of the Sheriff's Department conditions, number 4 on page 10, says basically if self-service of beer or wine is instituted, wristbands must be worn by all persons 21 and over purchasing. And, the thought that comes to mind is somebody's able to, would be able to tap all night their own beer.
So this doesn't apply to the self-pour. We originally, that might have been in the original plans, but we will have bartenders serving beer. So it'll be just a traditional bar, but just for your information, in case that ever pops up again, the system that we use in Fullerton, it limits the ounces poured on each wristband to 32 ounces. So once a person's reached that capacity, they have to come back and check in for sobriety. And
how is that checked? Do they show somebody their wristband, or does somebody mark it, or how's that?
It's an RFID scanner.
Really?
So, yeah, so they put it up to the tap and it activates an RFID and allows them to pour beer. And then we, when they check out, we put the wristband up to the system and it tells exactly what they've poured and how many ounces they've poured.
That's a great concept.
So just for future, in case any self-pour concepts come up in the meetings, it's regulated.
Well, that's too bad. I was planning on going down and just tap.
Commissioner Grimm, just for clarification, the reason we included that is just based on the preliminary conversations we have with the applicant. They have that option in the future and, they don't have to come back to the commission. We do have another self-pour business in the city that we've instituted a similar condition.
Great.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. White, for the explanation. I was very curious about how a self-serve tavern was going to work.
Sure. You can go to Carlsbad, and Barrel Republic has the same system that we do if you're curious.
Okay. Very good. Commissioner Garrettson, any questions of staff or the applicant?
No question, just a comment that I'm glad to see Mr. White has reached out to the businesses in the area, especially in building a relationship if parking issues happen to pop up. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Looney?
Yes, just one question for the applicant. And Chris, as you are pouring, what about any food service?
So Mother Earth utilized Urban across the street. The previous manager of Mother Earth, he had a relationship with Urban, and we'll be utilizing Urban as well, walking pizzas across the street for food service.
Okay.
So it'll support them. We've already talked to them and they're happy about it.
Okay, good.
Good. Commissioner Aguilar, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Just looking forward to, this project moving forward. I think it's going to be a great addition to the downtown. It obviously fills a hole that was left there by Mother Earth, and I'm excited for you guys.
Thank you.
I tend to agree. I was disappointed when Mother Earth decided to leave. And so, Mr. White, if things go well tonight, welcome to Vista. So this is a special use permit and a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Ms. Chow, anyone here to speak tonight on this item?
No one at this time. Chairman Rossler?
All right, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it to commission discussion. Any comments, commissioners? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Aguilar.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve a special use permit for beer and wine bar at 204 and 206 Main Street for Barrel and Stave Poorhouse.
Very good. Is there a second? Commissioner Hastings?
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the use permit. Ms. Chow, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chairman Rossler?
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings?
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm?
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes.
Commissioner Looney?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Very good. Congratulations, Mr. White. We're looking forward to you opening up.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you guys there.
All right.
Sounds
Very
good.
good.
Take care.
All right. We will move along to our last public hearing of the evening. Zoning code amendment for rehabilitative mental health services. Mr. Conley, I believe you have the staff report on this also.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff, Mr. Chairman. We have a code amendment for rehabilitative mental health services. It's kind of a mouthful. Development Code chapters 1802, 1836, and 1838. Patsy, we're still going down the same road.
Well, at least I'm consistent on that. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening with this. I think it's the dual screen. I don't know what else I can tell you. It's just, hold on.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing this for a second. Okay, here we go. Is it still small?
No.
Oh, big.
Perfect. Oh,
Good.
okay. I don't know what it is. Sorry about that, John.
That's all right. If you could go to the next slide for me.
Sure.
All right, so we've received applications for a number of different mental health services, particularly over the past couple of years, generally in commercial zones that are really not classified beyond professional office uses within the city zoning code. Because we have a permissive zoning code, uses that aren't classified or listed in our code are not permitted. And so, there's no opportunity for those uses to establish in the city. In an effort to accommodate certain mental health services and provide a service to the citizens, the staff's recommending amendments to Title 18 of the Development Code to accommodate certain rehabilitative mental health services. Next slide. The project description is essentially to amend 3 chapters of Title 18, Chapter 1802, which is definitions, Chapter 1836, which is the office professional zone, and 1838, which is the C1 commercial zone, to add rehabilitative mental health services facilities definitions and classifications. These are services that are provided for less than 24-hour periods for mental health, generally therapy and rehabilitation. Next slide. So in Chapter 1802, we would add a definition for rehabilitative mental health services facility. And there are 4 categories that are included under that definition that provide mental health services. And they vary in terms of their intensity and what they offer. The first category is day treatment, which is a structured program of therapy for a distinct group of individuals. The mental health services are available for at least 3 and less than 24 hours each day that the program's open. The second category is day rehabilitation, which is a structured program of therapy to improve, maintain, or restore personal independence and functioning for a distinct group of individuals. Similarly, the mental health services are available for at least 3 and less than 24 hours that the program's open. Service activities under both these day treatment and day rehab categories would include assessment of the individual, plan development for the individual, therapy and rehabilitation, and collateral, which is essentially support services for individuals that are providing direct assistance for the patients. The third and fourth categories of crisis intervention and crisis stabilization provide mental health services lasting less than 24 hours for a condition that requires a more timely response than a regularly scheduled visit. They're differentiated by a specific section of the Code of Regulations that details the types of contact site and staffing requirements that are required for crisis intervention. You don't have to meet those specific requirements, and for crisis stabilization, you do. Because each of these definitions are included in Title IX, anyone that's operating these activities would know which category they're under and be able to provide that information to us to make a zoning determination at the time that they're requesting our approval. Next slide. In addition, Chapter 1836, the OP Office Professional Zone would be amended to incorporate this classification of rehabilitative mental health services facility. We would do the same in the C1 Commercial Zone. We would add to the list of special uses in each zone so that this use would be allowed with a special use permit. Because uses in the C1 zone are also permitted in the C2, C3, and M1 zones, this use would carry over into those zones, so it would be allowed in any of those classifications with a special use permit. Next slide. I included in the staff report a map that shows the location of the C1, 2, and 3 zones, the M1 and OP zones where this use could be included. And that's shown here in a colored map showing those locations generally along our commercial corridors and freeway interchange areas. Next slide. The proposed amendment would permit this use, as I mentioned, the OP, C1, C2, C3, and M1 zones with a special use permit. Because rehabilitative mental health services could have a wide range of conditions, populations, and rules that affect the use and its location, it can be reviewed through a use permit process. The staff's recommending a use permit as a requirement for the discretionary review of any of these applications to make sure that the operational conditions and the location work for the proposed use. Next slide. As you know, the Planning Commission makes formal recommendations to the council regarding any amendments to the zoning code. And so the staff is requesting that the commission make a recommendation to the city council to adopt the amendments as presented for rehabilitative mental health services facilities within the city. And that completes my staff report, and I am available for any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Super. Thank you, John. Commissioners, questions for staff. Commissioner Kramer, any questions for Mr. Conley?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Conley, is this outpatient kind of services or outpatient and inpatient in overnight stays?
Yeah, outpatient only. All the services would be less than 24 hours, which is specifically described as an outpatient service in the title of the Code of Regulations.
People who need these services now, where are they currently going?
There are some other facilities in other cities. We also have some facilities that offer just daytime operations and services like 9 to 5 type use that we allow under professional office classification. But with the extended services, and they would have to operate 24 hours, although they wouldn't necessarily have clients there for 24 hours, that they could have them over that 24-hour period. And so as a result of that, we felt it was appropriate to classify it, separately and require a use permit review. But in typical office situations where it's not a more intensive use, we've allowed them under the professional office category. A part of the reason we're coming before you tonight is to make that distinction.
And the people who perform these services are all licensed by the state?
Yes, so there's licensing requirements that are included for each classification, and under the federal code, there are requirements that they have to meet. We're just facilitating the 4 categories. There are numerous other categories that have a bunch of professional requirements, but these are what we consider some of the more limited classifications.
So does this also, these types of facilities, will they facilitate helping homeless people who are in crisis mode?
That's a possibility.
Okay, and people who are possibly on drugs or alcohol abuse issues?
That's a possibility.
Okay.
And that is really part of the reason that we're requiring the use permit review, to provide you discretion with respect to the location and how they would operate the facility because of those types of populations they would serve and the security and other concerns that come along with it.
And so when a person is utilizing these services at these facilities and oops, you've been there and it's time for you to go, they just push them out the door, or do they say you need more and we need to get you to another facility? For how does all of that work?
Yeah, so I can't comment on everybody, but the ones that we've had experience with, they generally facilitate the exit through a whole process of delivering the patient to a specific location that was pre-screened, either some facility that they provide the services or a home that they know they belong to or a care facility. But they don't just push them out the door and give them a bus pass kind of thing. That was a huge concern for the facility that's actively operating. they do really care for the patient from the time they get on site until they leave the facility.
So effectively, this is urgent care for people who are in trouble with mental issues.
It's another type of service that can facilitate those populations. Instead of going to a hospital, you might have an optional location to take them to be evaluated and provide some services for them.
And then who pays for those services that are performed? The person, insurance, the state, the city, combination of all of the above, or?
It's either the person or the insurance. I mean, the city pays for law enforcement services, and those would obviously be reviewed for any of these types of applications. But yeah, the payment for the service itself would be on the responsibility of the individual. And if they didn't have insurance, that would be up to the provider to determine how they would facilitate that person.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Conley. I have no other questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hastings, questions for Mr. Conley?
I have no particular questions. I'm just happy to see that the city is setting up opportunities for this kind of care to be given here in Vista.
Very good.
Thanks.
Commissioner Grimm?
No questions.
Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes. Mr. Conley, did I hear that the population or the number of people that they could serve in any one facility or over a period of time would be determined through the special use permit?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I have one comment, and that would be to echo Commissioner Hastings that I'm glad to see us opening up for these kinds of services to the community.
All right. Commissioner Linney.
I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
And Commissioner Aguilar.
Yeah, so the sheriff or Carlsbad police or Oceanside police would be able to drop people off there?
But we're not talking about a particular location at this point. We're talking about allowing it as a classification.
But that's what we're talking about, though, is an something.
If there were a perceived location that wanted to proceed with the use permit, we would have to approve this amendment, and then the use permit would come back before the commission for their review.
So so it can't just be any C1. It's still going to have to come in front of the planning commission or city council.
Under any of the zoning categories that are provided, it would have to come back to the planning commission, yes, and be appealable to the council. None of these facilities could go in without a use permit that's reviewed only by the commission.
Okay. And then, so 24 hours does mean, though, that the sheriff could drop someone off tonight at 7 o'clock, and they would still be there tomorrow at 7 o'clock ready to go out. So it would be an overnight stay, right?
There is a possibility, yes, that you could have some populations that stay overnight or during nighttime hours. It's like I said, it would operate 24 hours. They're just patient turnover can't be greater than 24 hours.
Right. And I mean, I understand the necessity for these types of services. I just feel that, well, you know how I feel, Mr. Conley. When I was on city council, this is not something that council was always very supportive of, because we did get a lot of outside people from other cities that were dropped off in our city for different types of services. And I just feel like that we're just expanding that. And even though it's going to have to come back to council again, or planning commission and council, I just feel that we're making it easier. And I'm just not supportive of it at all. Not at this time.
So just to address one issue, we are, I guess I don't know that we're making it easier. We're making it possible, because right now it's not possible. So we're creating a path for them to obtain approval from the city through this process, and it would come back to you. I can share that the city council expressed similar concerns about a facility that could move forward in a particular location that would have to come back to you. And there are security concerns and sheriff's impact concerns that are being addressed. And all that would be presented to you as part of the use permit application if it were to move forward.
Okay. I hear you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I thought Commissioner Kramer.
One other question going on the heels of Commissioner Aguilera. Mr. Conley, do we have any other cities who have done what we are trying to do with the SUP process that have been highly successful that we could use to
Actually, most of the other cities that we have asked allow this use without any type of use permit as just a medical or professional office use. So it's very, I would say, unregulated in its current form in most cities. We have the opportunity to condition it through the process that we're creating, but I don't know a lot of jurisdictions that have gone through the process of separating them out from other, medical uses.
So we would be the trailblazer.
I mean, as far as I know, I can refer to our assistant attorney who did some research on this to see if she knows of any other cities that have a use permit requirement, but I'm not aware of any.
There were some that I found in doing research. Sacramento County has a CUP, so conditional use permit process for psychiatric facilities, and their definition of psychiatric facilities was quite broad. So I think it would include these types of outpatient mental health services. But John's correct that others don't regulate it and would have broad permitted uses for these types of land uses. So I think in a way, like John said, this is just making an application possible. And the zones that we selected mirror those that are currently used for the SUP's process for a psychiatric hospital under the zoning code. So we're really just marching in step with what's currently in the code for mental health services, just the inpatient version.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thought Commissioner Kramer had some very good questions, answered a lot of the questions I had. Mr. Conley, if a facility comes in and we approve their use permit, would that facility coordinate with the Sheriff's Department?
That would be part of the use permit review, and it would be, conditionable by the commission if you wanted to condition something. But in the particular circumstance of the one that's been pursuing an application, yes, that's been a requirement, and we will report back to the commission on that as part of their use permit application.
Okay. So somebody's having a bad mental health day and the sheriff's deputies are called, they have someplace to take them that would help them.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. This is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Ms. Chow, anyone wishing to speak on this item?
I don't have anyone listed here on the attendees list, Chairman Rossler.
Okay, very good. Then we'll close the public hearing and open it to commissioners' comments. Any comments or discussion? Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move staff recommendation.
Okay, Commissioner Grimm has moved for approval with staff's recommendation. Commissioner Kramer, did you want a second?
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the amendment to the city ordinance for these facilities. Ms. Chow, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chairman Rossler, your vote, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Commissioner Hastings?
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm?
Yes.
Commissioner Garrettson?
Yes.
Commissioner Looney?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguilera?
No.
Motion passes 6-1.
All right, very good. Commissioners, the next item on our agenda is review and comments from commission members. Anyone have a comment or a report? Commissioner Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was out and about, and I actually drove down Santa Fe and saw Paseo Santa Fe Phase 2 and the little start of Phase 3, and it looks fabulous. So I just wanted to say how happy I am with where we've gone and where we're going. Thank you very much.
Just to add on to that, I was along with Commissioner Ludi and with Ms. Chow down at the groundbreaking down there. And I'm really, I agree with Commissioner Kramer. I'm really excited about that area. And it's been a complete facelift and transformation. So it makes you proud to live in Vista.
Very good. Anyone else?
When is the new McDonald's supposed to begin construction? On Civic Center in Santa Fe.
That was Michael's. Wasn't that yours, Michael?
Yeah, it's Michael's project.
Yeah, Amershot's still working through the grading plan process, but I think he's anxious to get started. So as soon as he can get it through engineering, he's going to be ready to go. So we're hoping sooner rather than later, but it's up to them just finalizing their grading plan.
I think it's going to be a good anchor store, especially since we have a main entrance there on Santa Fe from Civic Center. It'll really, I think, improve that entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. All right, Mr. Conley, your report.
Sure, I'll give you an update on Santa Fe. I had that on my list. Actually, today they put the final paving cap on the street. So you've noticed there's been kind of some bumpiness going through there because they left the street unfinished to finish up a lot of the construction. So the final cap went on today. We call it the icing on the cake. It's much nicer, smoother ride through there. So if you get a chance to drive through, you'll see more of a finished product. The only thing we really have to finish is street furniture and some of the final landscaping touches, which we're going to do over the next month. So we're hoping to wrap the project up by the end of the year. Unfortunately, we were not able to acquire the necessary right-of-way from the Walgreens property down at the Civic Center corner. Right where the roundabout is at Palo Vista, we'll have an unfinished roundabout that kind of wraps around the Walgreens property, and it'll be in sort of a temporary condition for however long it takes us to acquire the remaining 1,200 square feet of property or whatever it is we need to get from them. The eminent domain process is expected to take upwards of a year. So unfortunately, we'll have a little bit of a scar on the project until we can completely finish it. The signs should go up, the Vista sign, and then they'll replace the Paseo sign with the Vista sign over the next couple weeks. And the city council is going to have some kind of an unveiling or opening that we will announce through our public information officer. We have final occupancy at the Ryland at 100 Main Street. They're just finishing their commercial space, but all their residential space has been finalized and is occupied or getting to occupancy. Also at Monarch, behind the 99-cent store in the Grove, the senior project on Civic Center. So some of those residential projects finally finishing up. And then as far as meetings go, I think we will have a meeting on the 1st of December. We have at least one housing project. And then we will have a meeting on the 15th of December for the housing element, which Patsy will be presenting the draft element to the commission at that meeting. So unless anyone has any additional questions, or Patsy, if you have anything to add, that's all I had as my update.
Yeah, we were going to have two projects on the 1st, but it's looking like there's one of the projects going to roll into the December 15th. So that will be together with the housing element. But yep, nothing else. Thank you.
I wanted to ask a question about how I couldn't listen in to the city council review last week, and I wondered if there was anything interesting that came up that might be of interest to the rest of the commission.
Sure, it was a good discussion. We basically had the first meeting with the city council, and then invited the public. We had close to we sent out mailings to close to 50 stakeholders, organizations. A few people obviously came on board and participated. But all in all, we're going to be bringing information on the 15th. But the general message is that we're in good shape as far as our general plan and our zoning, because we don't need to have general plan amendments or rezones in order to accommodate the RENA number. which is 2561 for the next 8 years. So we're doing pretty good. So, yep, we're in good shape.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Any other questions of staff? If not, we will stand adjourned until December 1st. Thank you very much. Good job, everybody.